Well, the Jiti Foundation, we've really found that there's a profound need to be able to help not only cure blindness, but find preventable means as well. We're working with Dr. Shroff's hospital in India, in Delhi, and we found that to be a very profound way to be able to help prevent and cure at this moment.
The association with Jiti Foundation started almost 3 years back, I think, through some meetings. We talked about, again, the same issues of why avoidable blindness in India, why is the quantum so high, what could be the possible solutions. So the COP program took shape in the sense that we decided that let's take up people from the areas where we mean to do the interventions, give them a very good training, and once they have been trained adequately, we put them back into those same communities to act on multiple parameters. And I think somewhere probably it must have taken root in his mind.
While I was sitting there talking to the executive director, I came to the realization that we could throw as much money as we wanted for cornea transplants and cataract surgeries to combat blindness, but we would never be able to solve the blindness problem in India. We would never be able to catch up because the new rates of blindness in India are so high. If we're ever going to defeat blindness in India, we have got to prevent it from happening in the first place.
80% of people that are blind in India, it's preventable. And it's preventable with basic treatments that we take for granted in America. And so that's huge. To help people see again is just such a worthwhile endeavor.
And I said, how is it preventable? He said, well, you know, one of the primary causes of blindness in India are eye infections. You've got these remote villages and open sewers, flies sit on sewers, sit on a sleeping child, they get an eye infection there, let's say in their right eye, rub the eye, get it in their left eye, and no treatment, down the road they're blind.
Most of these patients should be able to see. The diseases that cause blindness, a lot of them have quick solutions or can be totally preventable if the patients have been seen on time. And that is where we want to intervene.
The initial impetus behind forming the Jiti Foundation was to partner with Dr. Shroff to get vision centers set up in rural areas.
So I was very lucky to actually be present in New Delhi when the very first class of trainees for these remote villages, where they were going to bring in young girls, young ladies, and train them on how to do eye exams, how to look for eye infections. In fact, treat some of the eye infections. The more serious cases, up-channel them to regional centers and ultimately Dr. Shroff's for surgeries.
And he came back talking about what an amazing program it was. And I was inspired hearing his story, but it cannot compare to seeing it for myself.
Along the way, Mr. Gill got back to us saying that he would like to start setting up vision centers.
So we've been planning to do this for some time, and now we're able to actually fund a clinic. And we're here today and over previous last couple of days to actually inaugurate our first clinic and see that in action, and to really be able to fill a void that was not previously being taken care of.
When we had the dedication in Thanabhavan, in the village, it was amazing when the COP, the Certified Ophthalmic Paramedic, when she walked by, I looked at the faces of these young girls who were sitting there to have their vision checked, and they were looking at her like she was a rock star, like a movie star, okay? I mean, and I bet in their mind they're thinking, this is something that, now I can do something like this.
We saw not just the community come out and see how profound it was for them, but there were people at the moment that ribbon was cut that were ready to get in the chair and be seen. And that in itself was a very emotional moment. And to see also how we committed to this being exactly what we hoped it would be when we dreamt it, when we discussed it in America, to come and see it come to full life it was chills.
There was an elderly man sitting in the front with an eye patch. And he said in Hindi, "My God, that's one of our daughters." So, now with something like that, you've got the buy-in of the community. They're going to use that vision center because they know it's one of them. It isn't some outsider that they don't know, and they might feel, hey, maybe they're trying to take advantage of me somehow. They know it's one of their people, and it's one of them. And that's what's happening all across North India.
I thought today's ceremony was phenomenal. I really enjoyed meeting all of the citizens of this village that are going to be served by the Vision Center.
I went inside when I was getting ready to leave because I wanted to say bye to Pooja. And I said, hey Pooja, I want to tell you, I spoke to your parents. And she looked at me, she said, are they here? And tears came to her eyes because she knew how proud they would be of her.
I think going forward, because Jiti Foundation believes in the concept of vision centers, we should be seeing many more such vision centers coming up in the coming years.
That's what I want to encourage with the Jiti Foundation. We want to fund a lot more of these clinics in these remote villages where they don't have access to any type of health care. We'd love to use this template and use it in South America, use it in Africa, use it in other parts of Southeast Asia.
If you believe that women's rights are human rights, then you should consider donating to this organization.
And not only are we supporting that young woman to empower herself, but we're supporting her to empower her community, helping provide people life-changing services as simple as an eye screening or a referral to the doctor. And those are things we take for granted, but there are things that are absolutely crucial in these communities.
I think the overall vision of the Jiti Foundation is all about transformation. Not only transforming these young ladies, but transforming these villages, and little by little transforming this part of India, the poorest part of India.